Hello everybody, this is Brittney and Byron, and you're listening to Dirty Laundry with B&B, a podcast about real, relatable relationships.
Transparency at its finest, we air it out and clear it up, offering couples and those seeking healthy relationships a safe, inclusive space to open the vents and find resolve.
Hello, Dirty Laundry listeners. I hope you guys are having a great week. Hopefully you've been tuning into all our episodes. We've been having some really good ones, I feel like.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we've been hitting a lot of things. You know, we try to be as comprehensive as we can, but a lot of the time also we try to come up with, spur of the moment topics. We'll just be talking and having a conversation and just living our lives and say, you know what, let's talk about that on a show. And we just think that it's something that we all can benefit from. But as stated before, many of our conversations are therapeutic for us too. So it's been good.
It has been. And it's been a fun week. We just hit our 16-year wedding anniversary.
Come on now.
So yes, snaps all around the room.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. I don't know when you hit when you're an expert at marriage or whatever, but I feel like, we're doing okay. We got a good idea. We've went through a lot of things that maybe young married couples can relate to, or even old married couples. Shoot, we all going through stuff.
Yeah, I mean, some people will say that marriage is marriage, but all of us have our own unique experiences. But I will say that we've learned so much through these past 16 years. It's just been a blessing to have, found someone that you can just kind of grow with and learn from and experience different things with. It's been certainly a journey for us for sure, but it's been nice. It's celebrating. I feel like we've been celebrating the last 2 weeks. We've been spoiled for sure.
Yeah. Like our kids were gone for 2 weeks with grandparents. I think we talked about that in the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
And so B and I were able to go to Disney by ourselves. We didn't even tell I'm whispering now like they can hear me. But we went without them. And then we've just been doing all kinds of fun stuff. It was nice rekindling because you were gone for 7 weeks. So it was a lot of joyous moments.
For sure. And I know in the last episode I talked about how weird it was being home. I have since overcome that feeling. I feel like I'm less awkward. I feel like I'm at home. I feel like I'm at peace. And I figured out that I am Byron Wilson again. You know what I mean?
So you're out of that mode? Good. That's good to hear because, he was kind of listen, he was thrown back in and, had to get it together.
For sure.
It's been a crazy few weeks of summer, but it's good to have you home. But Byron and me, we always tend to talk about on our podcast kind of things that we've been thinking about or going through or overcoming. We had this revelation moment, I would say. Maybe it isn't, maybe it is. But had this moment where we made a decision that would make us happy, maybe not everybody else. We didn't think about anybody else but ourselves. And it brought us so much joy. And I feel low-key bad.
I know, we are certainly external thinkers. And what I mean by that is we often consider other people's opinions and feelings whenever we're making a decision about what we do, even relationally, what we do in a relationship. So it's been very difficult over these years to ignore those things. If you haven't already gotten the hint, me and Brittney love our family, an internal family and our external family so much. So they are our everything. We love relationships, but we've been learning as of late how important it is for us to spend time with each other and for us to be in our own unit, in our own bubble sometimes, so that we're able to kind of reflect and rekindle and to reload, if we need to. So we have been making decisions that are just based on us, and it does feel good. But to your point, man, I feel bad.
It does. And, but we had a moment where we're we do a lot of basing our decisions. We've based a lot of our moves in your career. Mm-hmm. We've based a lot of our decisions based on what our family is going to do or where they're going to be. Yeah. And we've kind of come into this moment of we're going to do what Brittney and Byron think is best for their family. And not saying we didn't before, do what's best. Yeah. But I think there was a piece of sacrifice maybe where we did things and we're I really did not want to do that. And I know for me, I'm getting more vocal at saying, you know what, I want to stay home for Christmas. And now everyone knows it's a thing. Right. And it brings me a lot of joy. And you feel a little guilty. Yes, my friend Jay is behind me. You feel a little bad because, people are oh, we want to see you or we want to do that. Yeah. But for our relationship and our family, it feels good to sometimes just say, this is what we're going to do. And you're welcome to come, but this is what we're going to do.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean that we're going to nix them, and we're going to do that all the time. It's just important that we do that, sometimes and sometimes more often than not, right? So, but again, I think the revelation came from us typically spending an extended amount of time with family and friends. It's usually 4 to 7 days, sometimes longer. And we decided that we're going to minimize that to 2 or 3 days. So that way we can take the other 2 or 3 days that we usually give to them give back to ourselves. And man, it was wonderful because before I had to go back to work, we were able to come back as a family unit and spend time with each other and just kind of slow down as opposed to be running around all the time. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it was hard. But what was great about that whole piece is that every time we feel bad about making decisions like that, we're thinking about what the family member or the friend is going to think, right? So how are they going to, and when we're starting to put our own feelings and emotions on them, right? But when we did that, they were like totally understanding.
Yes.
You know, and
I
it's
think
like,
it was
yeah,
us.
for sure. Yeah, we were like thinking that they would feel bad or they would make us feel bad about the situation,
Yes.
but they
You're
were
only
totally
staying for a
understood.
day, like, you know, value the time.
Right.
And so, yeah, it makes me happy. It brings me joy and I feel bad, but I think there's a lot of pressures. And I know every married person you have your in-laws, no matter who you are in the relationship, everybody has their in-laws or their other side of the family. And, you know, you feel bad or you don't want anybody to like think that you're taking away their time. You try to split it evenly. And I think we're getting to a point where we're like, that's what we're going to do. And you know what's ironic about this is that we have plenty of people that we're related to family-wise that do that anyways. And we've always been offended by it. Like, okay, well, here we came across the country to see you. You didn't come see us. It's like, well, they're doing them. But maybe we were putting that pressure onto them.
Right. That's true. And then when you say it like that, it makes me revert back to the thought of how we were thinking they were going to think. We were projecting our own feelings and emotions on them because that's how we felt when we would go out to see them and they were off doing their own thing. We would take offense as if they don't already have life going on. It doesn't matter how many miles we flew over there. They still had an appointment to go to. They still had to go grocery shopping. They still had to go to church or whatever that looked like for them. We can't expect them to pause all life just because we made it there. And so we should be able to do the same thing. And it's a shame that we're just now learning that, you know what I mean? Nearly 23 years being together, that we're learning that it's important for us to live life and be okay with how other people feel about us doing our thing.
That part. Well, I think because you and I are really loyal people, like we're really loyal friends and like we expect that loyalty because we're really loyal. And so it doesn't really change maybe their loyalty. It just changes their, I don't know, the way that they align their values. Maybe like, you know, there's other things that are more important, like their own families.
Yeah, yeah. And I don't like using that because that's the thing, right? We always have this comparison or try to find balance and want to make sure that we fit in their big puzzle, in their masterpiece. And man, I guess we're not as important as this and this is, but that's just not what it is. Life is as complex as it is anyway.
Correct.
Just even if you just live by yourself and you're doing your own thing, trying to maneuver this world. So it's okay for people, especially when they're in their own family unit, for them to make those types of decisions. So we just got to get away from that. And I think that we are. And so it was great to feel like we owned our own independence. And that's what we learned from one of the things we learned from making decisions and instituting your own joy within your relationship is that you learn to be more independent within your relationship itself, right? We're not dependent upon other people making us feel happy or hoping for validation from them because they want to be around us. No, it's okay for them to live their life and us to live our life. It doesn't mean that we love them or they love us any less.
Yes, so true. And for like young parents, I wish I would have known this a lot sooner because when our children were really young and I had strollers and things they couldn't carry and we're like getting on an airplane and I would feel like a lot of anxiety and it was really stressful and I would just rather have stayed home and people came to us and you know we made a lot of decisions based off other people and we could have spent our money other places, you know, things like that. And so it's a hard lesson and it sounds harsh, but for young people with young kids, I say make the decision you think is best and set those roles and foundations for your family early on. And you probably won't be in the situation that me and Byron are in where we're feeling a little bit of guilt and it takes years because you're like, oh, I've had my own kids. This is our traditions. This is what we're going to do. And go from there. Right.
And that just starts with foundation building and having those conversations with your partner so that you understand what those things look like. And so, again, over communicating with your partner and then also with your parents, with their parents, with your uncle, with your auntie, with your grandparent, whoever it is that's been pouring into you as an individual and pouring into your relationship, let them know, hey, this is what me and Brittney have been talking about doing for Christmas, right? That conversation was a little bit awkward because we were supposed to start making it to where like we're going to my family's house every Christmas. We're flying in and where everyone's doing a big thing. But since we had children, that kind of shifted a little bit, right? And so we had to over communicate what that was going to look like. And we understand how, convoluted that can be. Yeah, and how challenging that can be. Yeah. But it's important that you communicate that early, as you stated, because if you don't do that, then it doesn't allow them to make, kind of understand your decision-making process, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Because they're not in your household. They don't know all the things you have going on.
For sure.
And I want to kind of go back a little bit. I don't want to say the person's name, but I have a relative that is going through a really, kind of crazy divorce. And a lot of it stems from the mother-in-law basically embedding themselves into that relationship, and so much into that relationship where it caused so much disconnect that I won't say that there's many factors that can lead to a divorce, but that is one big factor. And we've heard this time and time again. And when an in-law can successfully mess a marriage up or be a key factor, that's a problem, guys. Yeah. That's a problem. Your in-laws, so your parents, my parents, should not interject themselves so much into our relationship that we have conflict because of them. Yeah. That's uncalled for. They don't get an opinion. You can vent to them and they still don't get an opinion, okay? Right?
No, I think sometimes you allow them to have whatever opinion they have, right? Well, okay, they are allowed to have their opinion.
Yes.
But you have to dictate how that opinion influences you in your relationship.
But they don't come tell you what their opinion is in our relationship. Like my mom does not get to come and tell you what her 2 cents about how she feels about something.
Got you. They don't get to cross-pollinate. Like, why not?
Because it's not their place. They're not in the relationship.
Yeah.
And if they're going to be an avenue of support for that person, then totally fine. A sister, a friend, whatever. What you're not going to do is interject yourself. Let me tell you this. My best friend vented to me about an argument that she had with her husband. I'm not then going to go to her husband and be like, yeah, I know what you were saying. Right. And I think it's unacceptable. Okay. Because that's not my place.
I'm tracking what I'm picking it up now. I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah. I was like not getting what you're saying, but totally understand what you're saying right now. I'm trying to put that in our perspective, right? So it's like my dad coming to you and saying, hey, I heard Byron told me what you did, X, Y, Z.
We don't have this problem, by the way.
Yeah, we don't. But understand what you're saying. Absolutely not.
And that's where I think this example that I'm using with the in-laws and the joy is it can really become a negative aspect to the relationship. Not only that, but now that your partner knows how your family feels and the perception, and it puts a lot of pressure on that person too. Yeah. When there is an issue and you're trying to figure it out, you're trying to fix it already. You're like, I'm trying to fix it, but now you've got this extra person in it. It's messy.
The thing for me though too is like it's important that you have people that are in your bubble that can
100.
Support you. And support doesn't always mean agree.
100%.
So I hear what you're saying. I hear you saying that if someone has a negative opinion about something and they're being toxic, that they don't get to bring that energy into your relationship.
Correct.
Okay, got you. Okay, but it's okay though for someone that's close to you to come to me and talk to me about, things that might bother them. Right?
I would have an issue. I just would. If my sister came to you and was like, so the way you're treating my sister, I would not want her to do that because it's not her place.
Right. But you're talking about in-laws. We're talking about
Sorry,
parents.
I'm just thinking like parents for sure. Yeah. Now, obviously there's things that you're going to have conversations
about. So think about this from your perspective, right? So our children, right, get married and they've been married for 7 years. They have children now, and one of our sons come to you and say, Mom, I'm really struggling with X, Y, and Z. You have a good intimate relationship, a strong relationship with their partner. Hey, Mom, can you talk to her about X, Y, and Z? Is that something that you would not do?
I guess it would be really dependent upon our relationship and if she brought it to me.
Okay.
Because I would not open those. I would not open that. I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to put myself in, because what if it backfires? What if she comes back and was like, Jude, I know you're always telling your mom stuff, so don't tell your mom this. I just don't feel I feel like there's a sacred piece about marriage. And I'm not saying you can't have people that you speak to. I am not saying that, but I think there's a sacred piece to if you're privy enough to know about something going on in my relationship, you do not get to interject yourself and tell me, decide anything in our relationship. You're not going to be such of an influence that we divorce.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And it happens.
And that's what I'm saying is like, I guess you just have to be mature. I think, and I'm being unfair here because I'm just thinking about my personality. Like, I would not take offense if your mother came and talked to me about things that bothered her. And I think that's why I'm having a hard time understanding what
Wait,
you're
if
saying.
it bothered her or if it's something I told her?
I mean, I would assume that if she's coming to me and you
Right.
know, it would bother her, right? So
Right.
I would be okay with having that conversation, but some people aren't. But the reason why I'll be okay with having that conversation is because I know how to manage not only my emotions, but I also know how to manage how others can influence my relationship. Like, I'm not allowing anyone else's energy to influence our relationship. So
Right.
I'm okay with having that conversation, but I get what you're saying. I really do. Like, going back to the analogy that we had talked about many times before, not allowing anyone else to have a paintbrush inside of your masterpiece. Like, it's only you and your significant other that can paint that masterpiece. So I totally get what you're saying. And I feel bad about that situation. It's really important that you have, again, I'm going to restate this, that you have people that is in your corner that can provide you with support. But support does not always mean positive or I'm going to agree with you.
Yes.
True, unfiltered support that comes from a loving and compassionate place is vital. And we've had that
Yeah, we are
from
really
multiple
blessed.
different people.
Yeah.
But I like, though, that there's boundaries that you're talking about. I'm hearing you talk about boundary setting with not allowing that person to have so much power where you're inviting them, where I'm inviting someone in here to bash you or make you feel a certain type of way.
That's messy.
That's crazy. I would never do that, and nor would I allow anyone else to do that.
But as a parent, you shouldn't do that. But we know what
you
happens when you
shouldn't.
see it in movies.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of exaggerated. And the mother-in-law walks in and she's like, "Oh, this house is filthy," you know.
Yeah.
But there's that exaggeration comes from a real place, and it takes away from the joy that you all can have in your marriage.
Oh yeah.
And so I just wanted to highlight that because we were talking about, outer influences and, sometimes we don't want, actually most times we don't do what our parents did in their marriages.
That's true.
We're trying to do it better or do it different. We're in a different age than they are too. And, what were we going to say?
Oh, I was just thinking about how, like, how you can grow from challenging times and not allowing others to infiltrate. I'm going to use that term, infiltrate your relationship, because it does foster independence. And that's key. Like, us knowing that we're able to independently rely on each other without any external influence shows us that we're able to grow and get over hard times.
Right.
And that's important because every time you have conflict, you're reminded quickly that we've done this before. Not this, oh, here we go again. But we've done this before and we can get through it.
That's true. And I feel like you have to have conflict to see the joy. You know what I mean? No one gets through like unscathed. Like, everybody has conflict, it just is what it is. But I think as long as you don't have more conflict than joy, you know what I mean? Then we're doing all right.
And I would say that if you do not necessarily X out, but you limit the amount of, personalities or opinions that are on your relationship, it does reduce conflict because now I'm not listening to everybody else. I can form my own opinion about what's going on in our relationship, and that's important too.
Yeah.
But this is a sticky situation because
it is.
Again, like, I mean, I don't go out and like complain and gripe about what Brittney does or does not do, you know what I mean, with other people. I think it's fair for us to have that conversation, but I do think too that I have to find peace and be able to confide in people if I feel I need to confide in someone else to do that. So just make sure I'm not going crazy,
right?
You know what I mean? And I'm not looking for somebody to just agree with me.
Like,
I want somebody just to
yeah.
validate me. So it's just saying, hey, man, your feelings are valid,
right?
But
they're
feelings. You're not quite thinking right, my guy. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Let's open up the box and let's explore it a little bit.
No, I agree. I think everybody should have that. Everybody should have people in their lives like that. What I was saying is it just, shouldn't infiltrate, as you would say, the relationship to where it's caused so much rift that you can't even make independent decisions. Like
for sure.
Saying. So, because I agree. No, I definitely have people that are like, I just heard the other day, your feelings are valid, but your behavior may be unacceptable. So I'm kind of keeping that in mind. It's like sometimes you don't portray exactly what you're trying to say in an appropriate way. Not you, but just people in general.
And what you'll notice too, like, is if and I'm not looking for you to coddle me, right?
Okay, good. I'm not a coddler anyway. She knows that.
Not at all. Not at all. It would be nice sometimes, however. I'm not asking for you to do that. But when you say, I understand what you're saying, Byron, I understand the way that you feel. Just knowing that you know what I'm saying? And I try to
Right.
do that for you too. It's like, I mean, I'm sorry that you feel that way, babe. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't mean to do that. And so I'll try to change that next time. You
Right.
feel what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that's important, just validation. And sometimes you're not, significant others aren't getting that. And so they're looking for someone to just say, hey, not
You're
necessarily that you're right, but it's okay for you to feel that way. Man, that goes such a far way.
It
Like
does.
it goes so far for you to just say, hey, I get what you say. It's okay for you to feel that way.
Yeah.
But what's the next step? It's like, whoever. You feel what I'm saying? Let's get you right. You know what I mean? But yeah, a lot of people just want to just feel heard.
No, they do. And while we're like talking about joy too, one thing I think you and I both know and do is we have joy individually. I don't depend on Byron to bring me joy, although he's a good time and he brings a lot of joy. But I don't depend on him to be my source of joy. That my joy has to come from me and inside to have that joy, to bring us, to make us have a better relationship, I guess.
Yeah, it took me a long time to really understand that. It took me quite some time to realize that I hold the power of how I feel, right? Creating space between what an action is and my reaction it's a skill. And trying to expand that space to afford me time to think about it. And sometimes that space is a lot longer than necessary, right? What some would deem as necessary. But you have to find space for you to think about how you would like to respond to certain situations. And I used to be a very, very emotional, like driven, and you're going to hear me, and thought provoking. And I used to be like that. And I think that over time I've learned that, having patience with myself, meaning like, hey, pause, relax, everything's gonna be fine. Now respond. Like it's hard to do.
I feel like you're amazing at it.
Well, I didn't used to be amazing at it.
I feel like you're so good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm listening to you and I'm like, I cannot for the life of me stop making faces
Yeah.
before. Like, and it's not just in my relationship, it's literally everywhere. I was in a meeting that day, I was like, and I'm the only one like shaking my head, and then I was like, my mic was muted. Like, but they didn't need to unmute
But
me.
they knew that you were saying,
Exactly.
Yeah,
and I
for
was
sure.
like laughing, like pointing and everything. I'm like, Brittney. And then I'm
Yeah.
looking around the room, everyone else is serious faced. And I'm like, my gosh.
You know what's odd
Brittney.
about that? This is the very first time I'm hearing you out loud admit that that's what you do.
Well, you always tell me I do it
I
too.
know, and you're like, no, I don't. What face am I making? Like, I've never heard you admit to you doing that. So you know what? I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks.
It's sad that it kind of took your work helping you figure that out, but I'm glad that you did.
I'm really working on it, because when you see yourself in that camera, you over here really hyping everyone up, like, I was like, Brittney.
Hey.
Everybody's all professional and just.
It's so funny, and I'm going to tell you, not just for Brittney, but just in general, like your nonverbals speak a lot louder than what you actually say. Because it's just hilarious when you just be like, Byron, for sure, we'll do that. Whatever you say. And I'm like, okay, I guess we ain't doing that then. Well, I said that we can do it. I'm like, yeah, but you ain't down with it, so let's just not do it. You feel what I'm saying?
No,
Like,
I
that's why-
disagree with you. Whatever I say is what stands, not my nonverbals.
Yeah, we're gonna work on that. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, I think controlling your own emotions and understanding that you have the power to create joy in a relationship is extremely important.
Yeah.
'Cause you two, right? Not anyone else can dictate the direction of your relationship journey. And until you figure that out, you're going to be running in spirals.
It strengthens your relationship, I believe. Like when you both have your own joy and you don't really depend it, like it just makes for a more healthy minded relationship and marriage, because obviously the more happy you are, the more fulfilled you are. And your happiness can't come from things. It can't come from people. There's nothing else. You've got to have internal happiness. And it really starts from there. And even before you're married, you need to be finding that before you even are in a relationship, in my opinion, is that you need to find that self-joy and that self-worth, because you're going to drag that into a relationship where you're dependent on someone else. And let me tell you, that thing or that person or that feeling is not going to sustain your happiness.
It's temporary. Yeah, it's fleeting.
Yeah.
It's fleeting. Yeah, I think we just talked about that. Man, how when you said things just do not give you like long lasting happiness. They just don't. And I'm going to give you an example. Man, we are like, I am so happy with where we are in life. There are things that we want to continue to improve on and things we want to get better at and things that we want to achieve still. And I think that just becomes from just being internally driven and just wanting to push for not necessarily like objectives or objects more, but like just wanting to be the best person that you can possibly be or we possibly can be. But we're talking about all these things we want to do and all these things we want to get and where we want to be in life and and then we just had to pause and be like, man, do you remember when we used to have these conversations 20 years ago and where we said we wanted to be? Like, we're there, babe. We're there.
That's a blessing.
So we need to also learn to be okay with where we're at and be content. And whatever else comes is just icing on the cake. And so that's for everyone. Like, remember where you said you wanted to be. Remember where you said you wanted to be. And then you compare that with where you are right now. And you will often find that you are there or you've surpassed that. So be grateful for the things that you have and for the people that are in your life and how far you have come and where you are today in life, because man, there's so much power in that. Just thinking about where you said you wanted to be and where you are now, man, it's so fulfilling. It can be. And
I heard something the other day that said if my 10-year-old self saw how I was living now, they'd think I was rich, and that hit home. I'm like, man, all the things I said we wanted to do, we've been able to do. But I think that's because we really focused on encouraging each other, bringing joy into all of it, and recognizing the things you have. It's like you have so much. And, this social media world now makes us sometimes feel like we have less than. And I'm like, man, we have our health. We, we woke up this morning. Like, there's so much to be grateful for and thankful for. Build your own joy. Find what makes you happy. For me, just a simple wake up, drinking my cup of coffee brings me so much joy,
Man, yeah, because you was not on it this morning. Oh my goodness. Until you had your coffee. Like, the kids even realized that, hey, babe, we need to get mama some coffee. Like, that was wild. Like, just to see that, like, and I've noticed it before, but like when we're outside of the house and other people's like looking like she need coffee. Like, I'm just playing.
No, first of all.
But yeah, it's like, it's crazy but I'm glad that coffee, something that simple, can bring you your joy.
Just simple joy. Everybody's healthy. Something about those mornings, though, to me are like key. Those are like my happy moments. The sun rising, everything waking up. Pure joy. Yeah. Pure joy for me, This is just making me think about like the word wealth, how we can assign so many different meanings to it. But like in this very moment, like I'm just like wealth for me just means like healthy, happy, strong, resilient, understanding, compassion. Like there's just all these words that for me, like wealth is just like almost achieving like greatness in all of those different pieces and aspects. I love like the human experience. I love that we can feel days of joy and we can feel days of pain, and we can figure out how we can get up and through those complex moments. And it just makes days like these so much more precious. Yes. Because you wouldn't know joy if you didn't have down days. Not everything is going to be peaceful, but that's the beauty in life, in marriage, and doing it with someone, having that person that you're going to do life with, God willing, until you're old and gray and sitting on your front porch with grandkids. That's the goal. That's that enduring love we're looking and trying to achieve. And so just finding joy in every moment, finding joy in the things that may seem boring or regular, routine. There's a beauty in that to me.
Oh, for sure.
I just think there is.
Yeah. So. Yeah, sometimes we get caught in the glitz and glam of life, and we want all the flowers and we want all the rigmarole, whatever that phrase is. I think that sounds right. But we want the highlights of everything, but just the little things, like the fact that you just touching my leg, right? And just to touch, grazing your face, or just having a conversation, or just a quick text saying, hey, I want to let you know that I love you today. All of those things add to just so much happiness and so much joy, and it means more than sometimes those flowers and clothes and the shoes that you can get for someone. So
and let me just say this: me and Byron, not that it was an exercise, but we were out for dinner for our anniversary, and something came over me. I was like, okay, let's talk about the 3 worst seasons of our marriage and the 3 best seasons of our marriage. And I only say this because when you talk about those seasons and you talk about the good seasons, talk about the bad season, you made it through the season. There are moments where it's just rough. It's just hard. And it's just, are we going to get through it?
Yeah.
And then there's these moments where it's just blissful and amazing. And we want to live in that. We want to live in that space if we can for as long as we can. And so just, trying to remind yourself. And when you talk about it, I highly suggest you guys try this at your house. Ask your spouse, name 3 seasons or 3 moments brought you the most joy in our marriage. And the 3 moments that were the hardest things that we could ever get through. And it puts everything into perspective.
It does. Yeah. In both categories brought us joy.
Yeah.
One, because you're reminded of all the fun things that you got to do. But then on the other side, it's like, damn, we made it over that. Like how much joy that brings you. Like, golly, that was a tough time, but we did it. We made it and here we are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So just focus on the positives. Focus on making a list of what you can do and get through it. Marriage is full of seasons and you will get through it if you can do it together and you can really focus on strengthening that relationship, strengthening the independence of just you two, and making those decisions that is best for your marriage. And sometimes it's tough to have those conversations or make those decisions, but I promise you, if you do it sooner than we did, your outcome will be worth it.
No doubt. No doubt. Good job, babe.
Yeah. Hey, for the love of joy.
For the love of joy. Get it. It's yours. You hold the key to your own joy. All right, so make it happen. All right. Hey, without further ado, thank y'all so much for being here. Again, we just super grateful for each and every one of our listeners, people that's been tapping in with us, sending us messages and comments, all the love that y'all been pouring for us. As Brittney stated, we just experienced our 16th wedding anniversary, and the downpour of just so many good words, verbs, and terms, and just words of encouragement has just been amazing. So we just want to say thank you all so much for your support. We hope to continue doing this for you all, and it's just been fun. So
hey, and we're coming up on episode 40.
40.
We're about to close out season 2, which is insane. Thanks to our listeners that have listened to us thus far. We appreciate you, okay?
No doubt. Hey, so without further ado, be blessed, be you, just be.
Dirt on my feet. I'm blessed to be me. I'm so blessed to be. Blessed to be me. Blessed to be me. Blessed to be me. Blessed to be me. Blessed to be